Okay, sixth graders, we're going to start chapter 11 today. And we're going to be talking a lot about algebra in chapter 11. Okay? So, I remember the second graders calling it letter math. Do you remember learning about letter math?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about letter math. And we're going to start with a lesson about what are called expressions. Okay? Now, the word expression is simply a way of expressing a number, meaning telling a number. Okay, there are numerical expressions for showing a number, like the number 8 can be shown as 4 times 2. Okay, or the number 8 can be shown as the sum of 5 and 3. Or the sum of 7 and 1. Or the quotient of 16 and 2. 16 divided by 2 is a way of expressing the number, what? The expression expressing what number?
8.
8. All of these are expressions for the number 8. Okay? But they are expressing the number 8 in a different way. Instead of just writing 8, there it's written as 4 times 2. Or 5 times 3. Raiden, sit down. You don't have permission right now. So these are called what? Numerical expressions. Yep. Numerical expressions. They contain only numbers and operations. Now, we're going to talk today about algebraic expressions. Algebraic expressions contain variables, contain letters. The difference between a numerical expression and an algebraic expression is in these, when it has a letter, it doesn't just stand for one number, it stands for many numbers. The answer to the expression could be an infinite number of numbers, depending on what the number n is. So in this expression, the sum of n and 3 can be written as n plus 3, right? But the answer to that could be anything. Because you could replace the letter n with any number and get an answer. Does that make sense? You understand what we're talking about? So these are all examples of algebraic expressions. Look at this one. 3 more than x. Anytime you see the words more than or less than, these you have to think about what amount am I starting with, and then what am I doing to that amount? Am I adding something to that amount, or am I taking away something from that amount? In this case, 3 more than x tells us, anytime you have something like this, it tells us we're starting with an amount x. Okay? And then adding 3 more to that. So we don't necessarily know how many we have to start with, but we know that we're adding 3 to it. 3 more than x. Okay? Like having a bunch of chickens. And you don't know exactly how many you have because, well, the fox might have ate one. Okay? But you know that you bought 3 more from a farmer, so you have X amount of chickens, and then you have 3 more. So 3 more than X. That's a situation where you might write it that way. I'm not sure how many I have right now, but I know I'm adding 3 to it. Okay? Hillary. Oh, you can. Like, for example, 3 less than x. How would you write that? x minus 3. Yep. 3 less than x would be x minus 3. How about this one? Y increased by 3. That's another example of adding to the amount y. Okay? Let's take a look at some of the ones in your book. On page 314. It says at the top, an algebraic expression is an expression that includes at least one variable. Look at this example. Number 1, write a word expression to represent the monthly charge for text messages. Use M to represent the number of text messages over the limit. So, in the problem, it gives us the monthly charge of $4.99 for the month for text messages, plus 10 cents for each of the message over 200. So, to write an expression for the charges, you could write $4.99, because that's the starting monthly charge for the text messages. Plus, you get charged how much? You have to look in your book, man. How much do you get charged per message? Effie? 10 cents. Yep. So we write an expression for that. 10 cents. But is it just 10 cents or is it 10 cents per message? Brayden.
10 cents per message.
10 cents per message. So how do you write that as an expression?
10 times M.
10 times M, yep. Now, the book has it written this way. What's wrong with that? I don't like...
It looks like it.
Yeah, the time sign looks like an X. So from now on, since you're going to be learning algebra, and this is how your algebra book uses it next year, change the X to a dot. Okay? Because a dot means multiply. And in your pre-algebra book, that's how it shows multiplication. It can also show it this way. Putting the two together. So 10 cents times M. 0.10 M. When a number and a variable are put together without anything in between them, that means multiplication. Okay? Then there's one other way that means multiplication. And that's parentheses. Anytime there are parentheses next to a number, that also means multiplication. Peter?
What about addition? Like, wouldn't the plus sign might cancel and might confuse it as a T?
As a T, yeah. That's why T's are oftentimes written with a little tail, like that, to keep you from mixing those two up, a T and a plus sign. Yes?
And if you use multiplication, don't use a dot instead.
Use a dot, or put them together, or use parentheses. Yep. So, this is how we would write that example 1 as an expression. Okay? Skip down to example 3. Since we covered the points for example 2 already, look at example 3. Write an expression for each word. 30 more than the product of 4 and some number. 30 more than the product of, what is variable? 4 and just says some number. So when you're using a variable for some number, the variable that's used most of the time for that is n for number. Okay? So let's divide this up. 30 more than, let's separate that. Okay? And the product of 4 and some number, put that together. Because that's the part we're going to start with. 30 more than this, the product of 4 and some number. Do you know how you would write the algebraic expression for the product of 4 and some number? What is the product, that word product mean? Look in your book, see if you can find it. Tyler? Find it? Example 3. Did you find it now? What?
14, bottom of the page.
What this means, the product of 4 and some number. What does that mean as an algebraic expression? Johnny, I'll answer your questions later, okay? Product of 4 and some number. Tyler. 4 times some number. And what variable should we use? N. N for number. Yep. So this is 4n. Now, let's go back and write an expression for 30 more than. How do you write an expression for that? Olivia? Plus 30. That's how you would write these words as this expression. The product of 4 and a number is 4n. 30 more than that is plus 30. So 4n plus 30. Questions on this one? Okay. Go to example 4. Write an expression using 3 variables. A cell phone company is offering a special deal. For the first month, you pay half the basic monthly service fee, plus the charges for text messages, and the charges for phone calls. Write an algebraic expression for the total cost for the first month. So, when you're choosing a variable, it makes sense to choose variables that represent something in what you are looking for, or something in what you're talking about. So like C for chickens, or C for cost, or N for number, or in this case, B for basic monthly service. So if B stands for basic monthly service, and you pay, for this deal, you pay half the basic monthly service, half of the basic monthly service. How would you write an expression for that? Read it.
Divided by 0.5.
Close, not divide by 0.5, but half of. The word of tells you what you can do.
Oh, subtract.
No. You were closer before. Not divide, but what's the opposite of division?
Multiply.
Yeah, to find half of it, half of b would be 1/2 times b, or like you said, 0.5 times b. So that's how you would write the expression for half of it. Half of b. 0.5 times b. Okay? So that's the first part. Then it says the cost of text messages. What variable would make sense for text messages? Allison? T for text messages. So put a little curly T, curl your T so it doesn't look like a plus sign, equals text messages. Okay? And it says the cost of phone calls. What letter should we use for phone calls? P. Yeah. Now, what we're doing here is a process called defining the variables. Defining the variables. Okay? We're defining what these variables, what these letters mean. And then we need to write an expression for the charges. So, how would we write then an expression for the charges? What would we be paying for? We are paying for half of the basic monthly charge plus the text messages plus the phone calls. So let's write it out as a math expression now. Peter?
Would be b1/2 and t plus
1/2 b, yep,
and then t, and then p.
What would we do with the t?
Oh, plus t plus
Plus t, good.
then plus p.
Plus t. Good. Okay, equals the cost, yeah. If we define C as the cost, or C for monthly charges. Very good. Any questions? Olivia?
So on our homework assignment, we have to do that, and then we have to do equal.
No, oftentimes you don't even have to put equals. It just says, if it just says to write the expression, you just leave it as this. Okay? Without an equal sign. Just leave it at that. Because this is an expression. Okay? Read it.
Okay, so if we were really trying to get a real answer, how would we do it?
Then what you'd have to do is know what some of these numbers are to find the answer.
Well, then,
Okay? If we were really solving this, then, for example, we would have to know what the, let's say we'd have to know what the basic charge is.
will we have to know the answer to figure it all out?
We'd have to know the answer to figure it out, to figure out the missing pieces. Yep. You have to know what the total would be in order to find the missing pieces. Okay? So, for today, I want you to practice writing expressions. On page 315, starting with number 1. Do you remember how to write division using a fraction bar?
Yeah.
Because if you have a top-heavy fraction, how do you turn it to a mixed number? So if you have 16/5, how do you write that as a mixed number?
3 and 5.
Yeah, you do 3, so you do 16 divided by 5, right? That'd be 3 1/5, just like Andreas said. And so the fraction bar means what? Divide. So if it says in number 1, use a fraction bar to write an algebraic expression for x divided by 7, then what that means is you would write x divided by 7, like that. Just like if x was a top-heavy fraction and you had to change it to a mixed number. You know that you can divide the top number by the bottom number. The numerator divided by the denominator. So this is a way of writing division. This means division. X divided by 7. Okay?
What are the problems?
Do 1 through 15. On page 315.